Nick Durant here with Tattoo University, and today I'm going to give you some information that's going to help you out, keep you from getting ripped off. The way things are right now is there is a lot of ways that someone getting into the tattoo industry can get ripped off. And there's a lot of scams out there that are directed towards people trying to learn how to tattoo. Some people still think that there's all these tattoo secrets out there and all this information that's not being shared, and that's really not true. We have the internet now, there's a lot of information out there, there's YouTube videos like this one. Right now, there really are no tattooing secrets. You know, the information's out there. There might be a technique that somebody uses that they feel like is their own little secret, and that's good for them, but in general, there's a lot of information out there about tattooing. You just need to find it. So a lot of these companies are really trying to rip off new artists who just want to learn, and they're trying to tell you that they're going to teach you these secrets, these tattooing secrets that nobody knows about. Well, I'm telling you right now, that's not the case. The information's out there, you just need to know where to look. So I've learned some things from working at a tattoo shop, but a majority of what I've learned was online. And I had to learn how to tattoo before I even got into a tattoo shop. So the information's out there, I'm just putting it all in one place and giving you guys a better way of practicing it, a more structured way of learning it, instead of just doing random stuff. So one of the ways you can get ripped off are some of these books. And really what these books are just people who are writing books to get money, and I believe they're not even tattoo artists. They're advertising them as tattoo training books, and really they don't have any useful information in them. When I read these, it makes no sense whatsoever, and as I was learning, I tried to practice some of these things. They got me. I paid money for this series of books that was supposed to teach you how to tattoo, and not knowing any better, I tried some of these techniques and they just didn't work. And now that I know what I'm doing and I read these books, it makes no sense, and that just tells me that these books were not written by tattoo artists. They were probably written by somebody who got a hold of some information, a little tattooing information, and they just put it in a book for sale. They just made this book to make money, and they're just scamming people because they really don't know what they're talking about. So don't believe any of these advertisements that are telling you they're going to teach you these secrets, or you can learn how to tattoo in 10 easy steps. It takes years and years and years of practice and learning to learn how to tattoo correctly. You're not going to do that by reading a book and practicing 10 steps. It's not going to happen. And I'm telling you right now, you can probably find a lot of this information online for free. So don't pay a large amount of money for these books that are going to teach you how to tattoo. Go online, go on these websites, watch videos, and learn from people, watch people who are actually tattooing. A lot of these books have really bad information in them. There's this book right here about tattoo aftercare. It's a little pamphlet. The first sentence says 99% of the problems with tattoos come from aftercare, and that's not true. A lot of the tattoo artists out there want to blame the client when a tattoo comes out bad. And they don't want to look at themselves, they don't want to admit that maybe they did too much damage when they were doing that tattoo, and they always want to put it on the client. And you really got to look at yourself and ask yourself, how many of my clients come back with messed up tattoos? And that's probably not because of the client's aftercare, that's probably because of the way you are tattooing. Right off the bat, this booklet's incorrect, and all of the information it gives you about aftercare is wrong. So I really wish we could remove some of the books that are out there and get rid of them, because one of the problems is that we read books and we look at books and we think that all of the information in these books is correct because it's in a book. It's just like we want to listen to doctors and believe doctors and everything they say is correct. But a doctor is a person. They can make mistakes. They can be incorrect. They can be wrong just like anybody else. And books can be wrong, and they can also be outdated. And the person who wrote this series of tattooing books, I can tell is not a tattoo artist, because what they are saying to do, you cannot do. It's physically impossible to follow the instructions in this book and tattoo the way they're saying to. So I know that this person's not a tattoo artist, because this makes no sense. And if you're a new artist, you're going to try these things, and it's going to mess you up. I bought this when I was a new artist trying to learn how to tattoo, and instead of helping me, it actually hurt me. One, it took money out of my pocket that I could have used on something helpful, and two, it kind of taught me incorrect things, or everything I've learned I practiced to see if it was correct, because I didn't know if it was true or not true. And after reading these books, I could tell that this wasn't true. So it kind of wasted my time. I could have spent my time other places learning correct things instead of going through all of this bad information. When we buy tattoo ink, we look at the bottle, make sure it's coming from the correct place and it has all the correct information on there. The books you read about tattooing should be the same thing. This series of books about tattooing doesn't even tell you who the author is. So right there it tells you that there's missing information and this book's a little shady, so I wouldn't read this book. So what these books do is they start talking about real topics and things that you need to know when you tattoo, but then they kind of trail off, or they just don't give you the information. They start off with a good topic, but then they never give you the information on that topic. It's all smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there right now that are the same way. They tell you they're going to talk about something, but then all of a sudden they trail off and they talk about something completely different. These books are the exact same way. Also, look at the artwork in these tattoo books, and you can see a lot of this artwork is really, really bad. There was an entire book full of these tattooing images, and they are horrible. This is like looking at someone's portfolio. If you are going to get tattooed by someone, you look at their portfolio and decide whether or not they're a professional and if you want to let them tattoo you. So if you look at a tattooing book and all of the images of the tattoos are bad, outdated images, you might want to consider reading another book, because this is probably not a good book to read. This book in particular had a lot of typos in it, and a really good tattoo artist makes sure that they spell things correctly. It's part of their job. They tattoo words on people all the time, so making sure they spell things correctly is a really big deal in tattooing. And the book itself had a bunch of typos in it. So I wouldn't give this book any credit, because the artwork is really bad. There was a lot of typos, and even the design of the book, you can't even read some of it because the lettering is the same color as the background. So if this was somebody's portfolio, I would move on to the next person. I would not read this book because it's not a good book. A lot of these books are a little older, so they're outdated. And now, because of the internet, we don't really need a book that is full of the meaning of tattoos. What a snake tattoo means, what a skull tattoo means. This whole book is just images of tattoos and their meaning, the meaning behind a star tattoo. With the internet now, we really don't need a full book of the meaning of tattoos, and the meaning of a tattoo could be different depending on the person who gets it. Tattoo shops are not operating the same way they did, let's say in the 90s or even before that, where you would walk into a shop and there was a bunch of flash up on the walls. We didn't have the internet as much, So you relied on the information you could get from books, going to libraries, more than just jumping online and getting on your computer to find information out. So you really don't need an entire book that is just full of the meanings of tattoos. You can really just go online and type something in, and you could get the same tattoo and on two different people and it would mean something different. You really don't need a full book of information like that. Tattooing has improved a lot, and as more artists get into tattooing, the skill level of tattooing has gone way up. And you really don't want to continue to do these really dated tattoos. You don't want to copy some of this flash work that was being done a long time ago. So there are books out there that you do want to read, and they are good books, and they are written by tattoo artists. Guys Reinventing the Tattoo, Joshua Carlton's Guide to Realism, the A to Z Guide to Tattooing, which is outdated. There's some bad information in there just because it was written a long time ago, but overall the information is really good, and you can find some helpful information in there about tattooing. That is still a good book written by tattoo artists. Tattoo Machines and Their Secrets, all of these books are written by tattoo artists. These are good books to read. The information is correct, and these people stand behind the work as tattoo artists, helping the industry out and helping out other artists. It's not bad information, it's actually really good information. So I would recommend that you spend your money, if you're going to spend it on books, spend it on books like that, newer books written by tattoo artists. Information goes bad after a while. Science books come out and they're already outdated because of how rapidly we learn new things nowadays. Anything that's really old might not apply to what you're doing today. The artwork has changed. We have a lot more safety procedures that we have to follow. A lot of these older books talk about just cleaning your station with alcohol and things like that. And we don't use those things nowadays. We have a lot more diseases we have to worry about. So you have to use germicidal solutions. You have to use barrier protection. We're a lot safer now with tattooing than we were, say, 20, 30 years ago. Some of those practices that they're talking about were good practices at the time, but that's not how we do things anymore. So you want to get updated information. And you can read these books. I enjoy reading these older books to see how they used to tattoo. But I don't use those same practices in my tattooing. I just read it because I enjoy reading it. I appreciate people who tried and who wrote these tattoo books, as long as their intention was not to scam somebody. Some of the problems is that companies are still selling these books like they're new information, like it's still good, and tattoo artists are reading these books and passing this information on when it's bad information. It needs to be updated information. Tattoo artists really need to start writing some newer books and putting newer information out there. We need to stop relying on all this old stuff and start updating the information, because tattooing has changed. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago. There's a lot of DVDs out there too that come with kits a lot of the times, or you buy something online and you get a free book or a free DVD. These DVDs aren't good anymore. The information in them is not good anymore. We really need to go with updated information and newer books and newer DVDs. So don't get ripped off and pay money for these things. So what you want to do is talk to other tattoo artists, see what they would recommend. Buy newer stuff. Don't get really old books and DVDs. Go online and talk to people. Look for information. Look for newer information on the internet instead of relying on some of this older information that you're finding in books. We have new machines now. We have new ways of tattooing. We have new cartridges. There's diseases out there that we have to be careful of now that we didn't have to worry about before. So There's sanitation practices that you need to keep updated on. Look for all this stuff. All this stuff's going to be online. You know, I really dislike tattoo artists who take advantage of other tattoo artists by selling really overpriced machines, trying to sell bad information or sell bad equipment. And a lot of these companies are doing that. By selling these things, they are making money off of new tattoo artists who don't know better. And instead of helping everybody out, they're really dragging everybody down. So we need to really work on that and help each other out by talking to each other. When you don't share information, you don't help each other out, you actually make it easier for companies to rip you off. Because if someone sold me something bad, I would tell you, this is bad, don't buy it. And then you would tell your buddy that, and eventually you wouldn't buy this piece of equipment. This piece of equipment would eventually not sell because everybody would know it's bad. But instead, nobody talks to each other, and these companies just make a lot of money off of ripping people off, selling bad equipment. What we really need to start doing is working together and telling each other if something is bad. That way we can stop buying it. And these companies won't make money off of us by selling bad equipment. They're going to have to start making better equipment if they want to make money. They start making better equipment and we all improve. We really need to stop making money by ripping other people off. We need to do it professionally. We need to be more business-like and communicate with each other so that we can all improve the tattoo industry.